So I'm going to call to order our meeting, this June 26th Planning Commission meeting, 2025. Welcome, everyone. Well, welcome. May I have an approval of this evening's agenda? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. That's when I'll the roll.
Commissioner Bates,
Yes.
Commissioner Wade,
Yes.
Commissioner Willa,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinclair,
He's not on.
Commissioner Moore. Yes. Commissioner Matusek.
Yes.
Yes. Our agenda is approved. We'll move to next to the consideration of our minutes from our meeting from May 22nd. Does anyone have any additions, alterations, comments, questions?
In regards to item 5B 45-02, C, 85-04, Scott Robinson for Richard. It looks like I was not part of the vote.
Okay. Anything else? All right. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion to approve. Second. Or is it second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? As amended, though. Right. As amended. Yeah, here. Thank you. That's what we call the roll.
Morning.
Commissioner Moore. Yes. Commissioner Sinclair. Commissioner Matusek,
Yes.
Commissioner Willa,
Yes.
Commissioner Bates,
Yes.
Commissioner Wade,
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes. The minutes as amended are approved. We'll next move to our public comment. If you believe you have something that is within the purview of the planning commission and you'd like us to hear it, this is your chance. We ask that you limit that comment to 3 minutes. And then again, you do keep it to something that is within our purview. Is there anyone who'd like to come forward at this time with public comments? Nobody online? Okay, we'll move on. We'll move to our first action item. CU 25-05, Malia and Arnold Jacobson for a home occupation conditional use permit for Malia's Grill. The subject property is located at 3672 East Chinook Street, tax lot 3101, map 51032 CC, in a residential moderate density R1 zone. The application will be reviewed against the criteria of the municipal code 17.86 conditional uses. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the planning commission to hear this matter at this time? Does any commission member believe he or she has a conflict of interest or a personal bias? Has any commission member had any ex parte contacts or made site visits? Site visit. Okay. May we have the staff report, please?
Good afternoon. This application is for the approval of a home occupation to support the local food service trailer that will be used to prepare and serve food at off-site venues and events. The trailer is supported by an off-site commercial grade commissary kitchen as required by Oregon state health codes. And application materials indicate that business related activities of the property will consist of storage, preparation, and cleaning in support of the commercial operation. Application materials indicate that a second commercial enterprise, Kukui House Enterprises, does have a presence of the subject property. The application states that most of the Kukui related supplies and equipment are stored in a commercial location on South Hemlock Street. However, a work vehicle is kept at the residence. Moving into the applicable criteria. For 17-72050 home occupations type 2. The staff comment is that application materials indicate that the food service trailer is a family run operation that does not employ persons who are not residents of the property. No new structures or alterations or no new structures or alterations of existing structures are proposed as the activity will be within the mobile unit. As on-site catering / hosting is not proposed, and the operator is required by state health standards to use a commercial 3, commissary kitchen for food service handling and preparation. Moving into the conditional uses in 1786-080. The staff comment is that the subject property is zoned residential moderate density R1. And a type 2 home occupation is a conditionally permissible use in that zone. During pre-application interactions with the applicant, the community development department determined that the proposed activity does not meet the criteria for administrative review as a type 1 home occupation due to the trailer's size and visibility, potential for the emission of odors, waste, or noise, and the potential number of vehicle trips needed to relocate the trailer and otherwise support the commercial enterprise. The proposed parking location is along the western edge of the property, will allow the trailer to be out in the public right of way, and its presence should not result in any new traffic impacts. Other vehicles along the applicant are able to make use of a separate driveway and garage along the eastern property line. The neighborhood is entirely residential in nature, and commercial activities do not appear to be present in the vicinity. Should the planning commission choose to approve the application, the community development department recommends the conditions be placed in order to ensure that the residential character of the neighborhood is maintained. And that concludes the staff report.
Okay, has there been any additional correspondence since this afternoon?
No.
So we'll move to public testimony. The pertinent criteria to be considered are noted in the staff reports and listed on the criteria sheets on the meeting page of the city's website. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward those criteria or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or municipal code, which the person testifying believes applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision makers and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal based on that issue. Prior to the conclusion of the initial evidence review, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional testimony, arguments, or evidence regarding the application. The planning commission shall grant such request by continuing the public hearing or leaving the record open for additional written testimony, arguments, or evidence. Persons who testify shall first receive recognition from the chair, state their full name and mailing address, and if appearing in representative capacity, identify whom they represent. Is there a presentation by Jack?
I think I'm pretty sure, is that my turn? Okay.
You're the applicant.
I don't know if that was just nervous or I just couldn't hear because, yeah, my hearing's going bad, but, thank you for hearing me and, allowing me to speak tonight, to, allow us to park our food trailer in our RV parking. I specifically say that because you guys seen the pictures, it is an RV parking and we did sell our RV. So that we could fit the food trailer there. My husband would be here, but he's stuck in traffic in Seaside. And my daughter, we do have 3 other employees. So it's, I don't know if I heard that right as well, but I think I heard him say that we were just the 3 of us, but we do have 3 other teenagers that work with us. When they do prep, I did read in the rules that you can have only 1 other employee, so I could limit that to just 1 other employee to prep on site. At the max, there was 2, including, you know, us. But the trailer can't fit more than that anyway, so, so that could be limited, but really, you know, we've checked with our neighbors and you've seen the emails, and their statements. I could have gotten more, but maybe I could do that if you guys need more people to, express their opinions. I did see the one opinion from, a neighbor who does not have a house, who does not live here. He thinks he hasn't seen the trailer and it looks like he thinks that I'm going to go down to the park and sell food to the tourists. And that's not how we're gonna go to events. I already have another business. I don't wanna park my truck anywhere and sell onesie twosie. We wanna go to farmers markets, we wanna go to the volleyball. Maybe even kind of, the sandcastle. Didn't do that this year, thank God, but, those are the type of events that we would like to attend, with our trailer. Of course, going through the permitting process. When we did build it, we did go look, prior to building it, we did look around to see if there was trucks that we could purchase. But very slim to find, hard to find one that has the quality that we want. One, we don't want a fryer, I just wanna make a point of that, we specifically don't want a fryer. Don't want that temptation, and also the type of food we wanna prepare is not fried. We do have ample refrigeration, and we have a state-of-the-art fire suppression system. We had the fire marshal come and look at it, he was very impressed. It is actually a regulation that has been imposed this year, that all new road trucks need to have fire suppression, so previous trucks didn't need to have one. They just needed to have a, what do you call that? Yes, thank you, fire extinguisher. So we do have a fire suppression, so one of the other things he was concerned about is propane. The same type of propane you have in your barbecues and your gas fireplaces that don't have a fire suppression, we have a fire suppression. That if anything were to happen, it would, be more protected. There's no guarantees, right? But more protected than a barbecue would be, or a gas fireplace that somebody has on their patio. Valid question though, and, every inspection we've had has been 100%. From the Manzanita Farmers Market, which is in a different county, and also with the Clatsop County, we had 2 inspections there. But they were there with us from the beginning on how to set it up, and what would be the best way to create a healthy environment and a good flow. So, our food truck can run off of a 110. It would be nice if it was 30, 50 amp, which is what is provided to us at the farmers markets, but it can run off of a 110. And, I guess that's it. I could go over more details, but you have read, we wrote, pretty in detail what we're wanting to, provide to the community, with our truck. Really, it's just to have we wanna be safe, we wanna be healthy, we wanna provide great products to our communities. And I think that's it. Any questions?
I have a quick question for you, and forgive me, I was taking this and I'm out of this. Did you give your mailing address?
My email?
Your mailing address, and I realize that may be the same. as-
Okay, my mailing address is 3672 East Chinook.
Could you please state your name, please?
Yes, Malia Jacobson.
Thank
It
you.
seems like a
Interrupt you either.
formality, but a silly question.
No, that's great.
So, any questions?
Yeah, actually, when you're preparing on site, that trailer isn't parked underneath the deck, is it?
The way that it's portion of it's under the deck and portion of it is out.
Does
So the
that-
hood is, yes, the hood is not.
That's for my, listen,
Yeah, that's the reason why it's positioned to where it's at. Mhm.
I saw it in the photograph.
Yeah,
Sure.
and also because of the grease trap, so we have that huge grease trap, and where it drains, it needs to be parked there so that it can, drain easier, yeah.
I see you've got approval from the city. in regard-
I did, so we had Trevor come over and look at it, and again, he was more than, impressed at what we created. And we're not, again, we don't have to grease, and we're having a grease trap. But, if there's the teriyaki sauce, there might be some oils, some of my seasoning sauces have oils in them. But that would all be caught. And then I did thank you for bringing that up. We do have a grease trap routine checklist that we check every week. And, we cleaned it for the first time on the 23rd. So, and that's over, a month and a half. although it was just one, we were just doing the Manzanita market since May. And now we're having 3 markets, so it will probably increase. But it's a pretty easy clean, you just open it up, take out the grease, and you can dispose of it in the trash. So we have this on a weekly check.
Nikki, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just curious, how much activity is going on throughout the week in terms of, is this an everyday activity? Is it only on the days of a farmer's market? How frequent is your preparation and cleanup activity?
Well, like today, I was prepping today, for tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's, but it's me,
Yeah,
it's just me in there. I'm not gonna have employees every day. If that.
I'm thinking vehicle trips, the sense of a commercial activity, how frequently do you have added people coming, whether it's 1 employee or 2 employees?
Good question. Because my daughter and my husband, we all work, we try to bring our employees maybe once a week.
Okay.
Twice a week, maybe. I'm looking at Mondays, the day that they can come and help prep. And then if I need a little bit extra help, maybe on Friday mornings before going to Manzanita, but that's it. And then when they're prepping, it's like 3 hours, 4 hours. They.
I wonder, what do you do when you're prepping? What are the activities? So it's not frying stuff. That's good.
Yeah,
Is it mostly,
That's the only event that I can imagine would be noticed by neighbors if there were gonna be some. And are you just chopping things or
yeah.
how does that?
Prepping vegetables, today I did sauces, so I'm just mixing sauces.
So you're cooking
Yeah,
our stuff?
yeah, on the stove, we do have 1 burner stove. Again, we chose to have a bigger grill than a stove, but we're not using the grill typically I'll just say typically, but 99% of the time we're not using the grill. Cause we're just making the sauces to then marinate my chicken. And then to make my teriyaki sauces, just the sauces. So today I pretty much did the sauces. And then we'll cut ahi typically the night before an event. So after this, I'm gonna go cut some ahi, so the blood can drain. It's better if it doesn't have a lot of water in the ahi the night before. So little tip if you ever wanna have a poke class, but so you wanna have those things prepped the night before, yeah.
And you run your hood always like run the grill, correct? Or do you run,
Huh?
you run your hood when you run only when you run the grill or when you run the stove?
Yeah, no. The stove doesn't create much. If I need a little bit of air, I just open the door just a tad. Sometimes I do like keeping the door open, the front door, it's claustrophobic, but like today, because of the rain, I just had it propped open just a little bit, so no one could actually see me in there. And then I have 2 windows, so most of the time people can't see me even in there. They don't even know I'm in. Yeah,
I didn't see an address on the emails, the proponents, one of the proponents is the resident that lives to the west of you, right next to the.
he lives east. Is that the one that I talked about the propane? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the other proponent. The one for,
All of them. Well, there is, so everyone physically around me agrees. So, the one to the west, Higgins, Brian Higgins, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the closest to me. So he was the first person we spoke to and, we've been working with each other since we moved there. We help each other, we blow his roof, we're just very neighborly. Yeah, so we communicate a lot.
okay, the second thing is, so just to get an idea of the movement of the trailer and the employee that will come and help with prep work. You're going to, it sounds like 3 or 4 different events every week with Seaside, Manzanita, Cannon Beach,
Yeah.
so that trailer will be moving pretty frequently.
Yeah,
And then with the employee coming in the mornings on those same days to help prep and.
not same days, like I said, just Mondays currently. Just last week, they came Friday morning. to help, but typically I don't need that help. It's just on Mondays.
How, prevalent is the odor or smell from, your preparation when you're using the?
You know, I'm biased, I don't think it's that bad, I mean, I'm making sauces, the teriyaki sauce is the one that, you know, if there's any type of odor that's making, you know, but, my neighbors don't mind it, I don't think it's more than barbecuing steak on a barbecue. So, when you're barbecuing outside, it's not even, yeah,
And the frequency of grilling again is how many times a week? You grill every time you prep
No.
or every time before an event?
I haven't grilled in my kitchen yet, and I've had it for a year and a half, a month and a half. So I haven't used the grill at our site yet. So that's why I said 99% of the time, I don't wanna say ever, cause maybe, you know, but I've never needed to use the grill on site.
So you're doing it fresh when you get to the.
Yeah, so we're at the markets 2 hours before most events, you wanna be there beforehand. And the chicken tastes better, and that's what you got the grill for, I mean, once it's marinated, it takes 15 minutes to cook, so. Majority, 99% of the events, we're gonna be cooking there at the event. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
So the hood again is not, we don't need to use it, while on site,
Mhm.
yeah.
You mentioned you have a fire suppression. Could you be more specific about what that fire suppression, where that fire suppression system is specifically focused within your trailers? Is the entire trailer, just over the cooking?
So it's over the cooking, it's on the full back end, so it's 8 foot long.
It's 8 foot long.
Yep, so the whole back end of the trailer or the front, where the tongue is. Where you see the hood on the photos, right under there is where the hood is. And so we have one stove, and then our 36-inch grill, and then another spot for our 100-cup rice cooker. Yeah,
Like an enhanced system for a commercial kitchen,
yes,
pressurized,
say that,
pressurized system,
fresh eyes.
pressurized.
Oh, pressurized system, yes, yeah, yes.
Second question I had was around inspections. It sounds like your trailer is inspected anytime you go to one of these markets up and down the coast, whether it's Astoria or Manzanita.
Just the initial one,
Just the initial.
yeah.
And that's only at that farmer's market. They get an inspection. Once you pass that inspection, then you're deemed to for a year, or what is the permit?
You know, they can come at any time if they need to,
Okay.
but typically for the season, it's done, yeah, you get one.
This next question is, it's gonna seem kind of odd, but based on the way we structure these meetings, I want it to be asked with you still able to speak to it, because it's somewhat for our staff as well.
Okay.
The question is, it seems like you have two places where there were possibly two jurisdictions, either one of these farmers markets that's looking over your operation and licensing it based on how they view it. And you have some operation at your home.
Mhm.
In my mind, I'm spinning through it going, well, you know, if you weren't at one point to do farmers markets in Cannon Beach for whatever reason, Cannon Beach might not have jurisdiction over how your carts being run and inspected.
Mhm.
So the question is kind of open-ended. What is our process for inspecting?
So basically what it is with the, here's this one, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but food trucks have to go to whichever county that they're operating in and obtain, in essence, a food or a health license in order to operate. So she has to maintain that license on a yearly basis. And so with that, and then there's a business license through the city that she has to get. So really from the, and just so everyone knows, and just to verify your statements, you know, staff did reach out to fire department, and John Jerome did indicate that he went out there, did the inspection, and that the fire district does not have concern with the operation and supports the issuance of the conditional use permit. So the the rural fire department, fire inspector.
Rural
Kennedy Fire Department,
Canada Beach.
Yes.
Kennedy Farm.
Right, so from that perspective, the only time inspections are really done. Our building inspection department wouldn't inspect anything unless they were doing something with plumbing, you know, something to the house itself. So from an inspection standpoint, I'm not sure what takes place at the markets themselves. But it's pretty much the county health departments making sure that the trailer is licensed and that license issued, which she's provided.
I think as I'm thinking about it, it's an interesting spot. It's almost, it's right on the edge of a crossover where you do have a trailer. But for example, your question, Jay, is if that trailer goes back under that deck, it now is almost a part of your structure. And so then it becomes larger than a county issue in my mind, just something to think about. And I think we'll talk about, I'll bring up anyway, this idea of how we are protecting the cities in health and safety. We can't, you know, the second it goes into a structure, if we deem that as what is happening, then it becomes, then we might look at it as something that needs to be looked after, as if it were, say, a restaurant. So that's, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but it's something that I'll bring up and something I'm thinking about now.
Well, it will, if it's in use, well, we got a trailer so that we could leave in the winter. So if we leave in the winter, it'll go underneath and it will be inoperable. We won't be using it.
Okay.
When it's in use, it has to be where the current location. It will never go under a deck.
Right.
Yeah, for health and safety.
That-
But the restaurants, in my understanding, is that restaurants get inspected by the same inspectors I get inspected by. It's not a different inspection. It's the same inspection. So, unless there's other things that the city inspects at a restaurant, I think the health and safety of a restaurant is held by the same people that inspect me.
Right.
Do you have an additional inspection for restaurants?
It's pretty much what, fire department
Yeah.
goes through, the individual businesses and does, a typical inspection for the type of business. So, and he mentioned that, the new truck is compliant with UL 3, and he's lists the codes and things like that, so he's been satisfied in terms of any concerns. So the things I guess I would mention to you would be, he's gone through it and didn't raise any of the issues that we're speaking of. Not saying that it couldn't be, but I would tend to say an RV with propane or other things would be similar in nature if they were partnered.
Sure. Yeah, just look, it's just a little nuance, you know, you mentioned you have 110 power. You go to 220, that's the next level, it means everything's bigger in there, and I don't know what that does in terms of triggering code, but.
Right, if they're starting to do additional power.
Right.
That's an electrical permit.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna come from the home. Now that's gonna have to get permits, it's gonna need to get inspected. So that's when any type of structural changes, plumbing, electrical, any of that, is gonna come from the house. And therefore, that would require permitting and inspection through the building department.
Great. A little gray area on that, but I think we can navigate through it.
Yeah.
What if I could speculate a little bit out loud, thinking about that, so your alternative to doing prep in the trailer is, or couldn't find it real quick, oh, here, it is, Bob Chisholm. They have a certified commercial kitchen that you can use. And so it seems to me like what's happened is the county has certified her trailer for commercial preparation, just like Bob Chisholm.
Just the same as a
And
restaurant.
so no matter where it's sitting, it's a certified facility. Whether it's at her house or at a farmer's market in Buchanan. Does that kind of make sense? 'Cause I don't know that I see it as much of a gray area. As long as my thinking is correct, that the trailer is now certified to be able to commercially provide food.
I think common sense it does, there's just a couple places that could cross over. Like, if we didn't have a right to inspect, and that trailer gets back into that wood deck. Now we got a problem, and it could have, might happen if people approve it, and all of a sudden, for whatever chain of events happens, that these regulations that we're talking about now make all the sense in the world for the people in the room. if we don't have some sort of way to keep tab on that, it could give away. And that's, I guess that's my own point. You have these
Would
entities.
you recommend having, an inspection, a monthly inspection, so
Maybe
that
not that
somebody could come over and take a drive-by, or,
It's an idea, certainly, I think we could talk about.
I mean, I don't mind it. I wouldn't wanna park it under there anyway if I was cooking, right? So,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, that's great.
Do any of your employees drive a vehicle, or would they be backing the trailer in, or
No.
doing any prep work without your direction?
Okay, so one, I don't, only Arnie knows how to back in a trailer. If I had to, I think I'm smart enough, I could figure it out. But he's the only one. And then the second question is that if any employees are there without me? Is that the question?
Yeah, would they ever be used?
You know,
Prepping?
right now, Pualani, my daughter, is there can be there without me. And an employee, I mean, every time they've been over, I've been at the house, I've never not been there. But the prepping does not consist of cooking. They don't cook. They just cut vegetables, cabbage, ahi, things that, my sauces will be, privy to my discretion for a while. So, yeah, they won't be doing any cooking,
Okay.
just vegetables and ahi, and maybe one day they'll move up to salmon. Salmon's a little bit more difficult to cut, but,
Nice surprise.
yeah.
Are there other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much. Let's have something further. And we'll give you another opportunity.
Okay, sounds good. You never know. All right, that's it.
Is there anyone else here as a part of your team or part of it?
There's second Seaside. I did have some neighbors ask if I wanted them to come. And I was like, I don't wanna bother them, but, if I needed to, they'd probably be here. I probably would have 20 people here tonight if that was the case. We're very involved with our neighbors, we're taking care of each other's homes, we watch after each other, we blow off each other's roofs, we, lock the door if they forget. We know them very well, especially the ones just immediately around us, so, yeah.
Sounds like typing. Okay,
Yes.
so we're gonna move to our next section, which is, are there any other proponents? Who'd like to speak? Online? Okay, how about opponents? Anyone opposed to what we're discussing this evening? Nobody? Okay. You, as the applicant, have the opportunity to say anything, final words, thoughts that come to you before we close the record. At that point, we can take no more time. Absolutely. Close the record.
Well, I guess I just wanna end it with, I thank you for allowing us to, run our food truck, and if there's any concerns that you would like me to do, to make you feel more comfortable, to make you feel more safe, then, to keep our neighborhood safe, I'm happy to, make concessions for that, and work with you on, allowing us to have our food truck there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Unless there's any further questions, we'll close the record. All right, continue the discussion, you like to close? Who'd like to start?
I would. I could, guess, first impression, right? So we go from land use to regulating restaurants more or less, or trying to, but here's my take on this. I read through this thing the first time, and I have to be honest with you, the first time I saw it, I thought, oh my God, if somebody wanted to do that in my neighborhood, I'd pinch a shit, right? And then I went down through your presentation, which was quite good, and saw all the people, including people I know, who are in favor of this. My biggest concern is, we never know really how this is gonna work out. And I like the ability to bring them back in if they have complaints. If we get complaints from neighbors, and I noticed as I was going through the code, and it was an unrelated section, it was cottage industry, which is the same thing as home occupation for very low density residential properties, this home occupation is for medium density, and then the bottom of that says, hey, you know, if we get complaints, we'll haul you back in and we'll talk about it, and if we can't resolve it, we'll terminate the permit. And I just like to get that condition added to this in addition to other conditions people. Steve and I looked up some language, I don't know if
You know, I mean,
yeah.
one of the, there was, you know, so right now, if, I don't know if everyone's aware, and if you'd like, we could go through, but staff did, submit a number of different conditions that what we were recommending. And something that was not added, but, could be considered as something, that the planning commission shall reevaluate the home occupation if the city receives 2 complaints from 2 separate households within 250 feet of the boundary of the affected property that the use is violating the standards of the zoning ordinance, violates the conditions of this permit, or is inconsistent with the residential character of the neighborhood. Upon hearing the evidence, the planning commission may revise the condition of approval or revoke the permit in whole or part. So basically where it was coming from, it was a similar, it's very consistent with the cottage industry language that says, hey, if there's an issue, and that's where, if anyone's wondering why the 2 complaints, why the 2 separate, why 250? It was because that was the language that was used in the cottage industry, so we thought that would be consistent with those cottage industries that are happening at home. So that was just something that after the fact that we had different things that happened, and if you know, everything operates, it shouldn't even be a concern. However, if something does come in, this will give an opportunity to review it.
I like the addition of that, you know, that's probably one of the tightest knit communities we have here. And the show of support from them goes a long way with me. But I do like that. We'll have to read it off when we put it up there.
Yeah.
But that language, I think is something essentially that we should put here. If we decide to.
And I'm right there with you, Mike. I first looked at the requirements for, having a home business, and I thought it would be very difficult for them to, comply with all of those, but, you know, and maybe I would want this in my neighborhood, maybe I would, but the support of the neighbors, like with Jay, it goes a long way with me too. They're okay, and I'm sure it smells good, the odors, or smells coming from the trailer. Aromas aren't offensive in any way. So, and not using the grill, I think is a plus, also 99.9% of the time. So I agree, and certainly putting in the provision that we have a chance to review this. If there are any problems at all, because we want to keep residential neighborhoods residential for the most part. At least that's my personal opinion.
I have a feeling listening to not Malia, that's your daughter, I'm sorry.
Coolin, or Malia.
Listening to Kulani, that she probably would want to come in here anyway, if people complaining, just from listening to the testimony.
What is the fire marshal's ability to inspect without anything from us?
I'm sorry,
What is the fire marshal, or the fire department's ability to inspect without any kind of direction from us?
well, one thing that is in the home occupation regulations, which would be condition number 1 of the ones being suggested under J, does state, and I would say this is for city staff as well as the fire department, indicates that any home occupation authorized under the provisions of this section shall be open to inspection and review at reasonable times by code enforcement personnel for the purpose of verifying compliance with provisions. So I would say, you know, there is an ability for us to work with the applicant to set up times to inspect should we need to.
So then we just need to make sure the provisions were clear enough that there's teeth in anything that.
I think it's very crystal clear from the standpoint, the section says exactly what it is. And that's why it's condition number 1, and it refers to meeting all those conditions. And those conditions are and if you want, I can go through a number of them, they talk about how much of the home can be utilized for, you know, it talks about, inspections. Shall not create nuisances, there's other conditions that we also kind of pick up on some of these things. But and if you want, I can speak to some of those, or else if you guys are good with just
I was-
seeing them.
I was thinking about the one Jay brought up, because I saw that and thought the same, just that trailer just can never be operated on that day. And that would be a specific condition, I guess.
Yeah, I guess from
I mean,
my
it makes-
perspective, I would have expected fire department or someone to say something, maybe they weren't looking at that from that perspective, but, I would imagine that the trailer will be under that deck,
Park,
yes,
right, but not operation, not named precedent.
I can't speak to that.
And that's why, I suggested we have it in there, is that you just, to have that. I'm no fire marshal, but I know wood and I know heat. And that is not a good combination, so the triangle.
So just basically condition, you're saying that during operational uses that it's not parked underneath.
Right. Pretty straightforward,
Yeah,
simple,
a single sentence.
that would accomplish what I'm thinking of.
So we're just, oh, sorry.
Well, I just wanna make sure you capture it, I mean, it was, what exactly? Was that,
Yeah.
that's the Frank's motions.
Yeah, so Dave, is the big risk factor when the net hood is running?
Yeah, say there is an incident where there's a fire, the vent hood, she does have an extinguisher in there, so she has got a second line of defense, but say that fails, then the vent hood is just gonna throw everything straight up in the air onto a combustible surface.
And it'll be greased,
Right, yeah.
it'll be in trained grease.
But the fact that she has a basically commercial cancel fire extinguisher unit that should be installed in, say, a Pelican, is no different than what's installed in a Pelican. Again, has a lot of mileage for you, I'm saying, but she got it.
For sure.
For sure. Take care of it.
So that language, does someone want to write it down? In terms of, on top of what else is there, not language, and let's just work it out, for me to feel good, would be something like, the trailer shall not. During hours of operation, the trailer shall not be parked under the wood deck.
Yeah.
Or any structure, or any, shall not be parked under the structure, yeah, I like it, any combustible structure.
Do say under any structure.
Anything else?
No,
Feel like we're close to a motion, anyone want to be brave?
I'll do it, all right, so I move that we approve the application for conditional use permit C 2505 under the criteria set, the conditions set forth and the staff report with two additional conditions. One, that the unit shall not be parked under any structure or operational. And Steve, I'm trying to pull that email, okay?
You want me to read the?
Yeah, please do.
Planning commission, so the, number 9 was that the structure would not operate under any structures.
Yeah.
Similar something to that, and then number 10 would be, planning commission shall reevaluate the home occupation if the city receives 2 complaints from 2 separate households within 250 feet of the boundary of the affected property, that the use is violating the standards of the zoning ordinance, violates the conditions of this permit, or is inconsistent with the residential character of the neighborhood. Upon hearing the evidence, the planning commission may revise the conditions of approval or revoke the permit in whole or in part.
Yes, that is it.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second. Any further discussion? That's what we call the roll, please.
Commissioner Matheson,
Yes, if that was me. Sorry, I'm hurt. I didn't hear that.
We got you.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinclair,
Yes.
Commissioner Orloff,
Yes.
Commissioner Wade,
Yes.
Commissioner Bates,
Yes.
Chair Newton.
Yes. D 2505 is approved with stated condition. We'll move to our tree report. I know we're pretty quick there.
Thank you.
So for the tree report for the month of May of 2025, we had a total of 13 trees were removed, 10 of which were hazardous. One of which was dead under construction. There was a replanting requirement for 5. The reason we have the difference in the number of these properties were large and had multiple trees on them already. And exceeded the replanting requirement.
So, I'm presenting at least 4 of those for trees on my lot. I'm just wondering, are those of the spec houses, are you aware?
The 1659 Forest Lawn, that was the one that is being built kind of in the middle of Forest Lawn Road.
Yeah.
And then the 1758, that was a dead tree, that's at the south end of Forest Lawn. That was basically a stone.
Yeah, but the ones that are going in the middle of the block, I think are again, and I just want clarification, one big deal. They're spec homes, correct? There are construction companies listed as okay.
I would anticipate that to be the case. I don't think those are all present.
Yeah, I guess that needs to.
All right, thank you. That's what I'm saying.
And that property does have a plan. That property does have a plan.
Oh, okay.
Robert, there's a tree taken out in front of the bank in the public right of way. What was the reason for that one?
What's that?
In front of US Bank, there's a tree between the bank and the library.
Oh, just the other day,
Yeah.
that tree was falling over.
Oh,
So it was removed prior to collapsing into.
for safety.
Yeah,
They had pictures of that, thing, so details of all of it.
yeah.
So I'm curious, when you give a permit for a hazard tree, what is shown, has to be shown to constitute a hazard?
So there has to be a hazard to land health safety, and that hazard is typically confirmed by the city members. The only time that we make a decision to not necessarily involve it is if we can go out on the property, there's an immediate threat, as in there's an obvious significant clean, you see soil heaving, things like that, where it needs to be addressed more quickly than the typical review process.
Because something I started to question after one of the applications we had recently is that it sounds like any large tree can be called a hazard tree. So I just wanted to make sure that there is more to being called a hazard than just being rated highly on the hazard rating, which it sounds like any large tree can be.
Well,
considered a hazard.
the things that are going to get rated as a hazard, this is where you're getting into more of the professional skill of the arborist. Is going to be things such as leaning, disease, risk of collapse, things like that. And, you know, many of those issues such as disease, collapse factors, those are things that I'm not qualified to
Yeah.
evaluate, hence why we use.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, Jeff Gearhart was involved in that and also indicated to us that, yes, that should be removed.
So unless there's immediate danger,
The only, yeah, if it's a hazard, like Robert was saying, you go out and there's time. If it's an immediate, like there's something's going on, then you can remove it. We still talk to Jeff, don't we?
It's, there's certain amount of documentation that has.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
And
yeah,
if it's an immediate risk, if it's going into peril, and it's obviously coming down, it's all structural, we don't necessarily need to call it, right? We can make that determination.
Yeah, in the current code, the property owner has the right to take down a hazardous tree But then does Rick has to come in after the fact and is looking for it, and then in that process. I suppose the confirmation that it really was,
Yeah, that's the question.
but if it's a disagreement, then they're liable for unpermitted drilling.
Okay.
Yeah, what I read.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Move to the good of the order. Anyone have anything they'd like to bring forward for the good of the order? You just hanging out here? I thought for sure we had something coming.
No.
We love you too. Thanks for being here.
Came down to see.
This is kind of a cool club, I think.
Deal was not an issue.
Well, I just want to apologize to the group for being late. No intention of, and I'm just glad I wasn't coming in from the door. But, traffic was much better to the south. I'm sorry.
No worries. Anything else? No? Okay, we'll adjourn.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.